Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling,
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
yeah, it is. I think this one is really going to make us think.
I know it already is for me.
So the big ideas we're going to be looking at today are self-knowledge and self-acceptance.
Okay.
And these source materials are really challenging me.
Yeah.
We're going to be focusing mainly on this 2007 channeling session transcript by LL Research,
Okay.
which is the group behind the Law of One material.
Right.
And channeling, I know, can be a little bit out there for some folks.
For sure.
But stick with us on this one, because this session
Yeah.
gets into some really interesting paradoxes about who we are.
I love paradoxes.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
Metacore, you know?
Yeah, what strikes me about this source is that it doesn't just dwell in those abstract concepts.
Right.
It actually brings those ideas down to earth,
Right.
connects them to real experiences, and offers some really practical approaches for, working with these ideas.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here to do with this deep dive,
Yeah.
is help you connect the dots
Exactly.
and pull out those actionable pieces of wisdom.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. The transcript introduces this idea of a leitmotif for each person's life,
Okay.
which is almost like a recurring musical theme
Oh,
that plays throughout your journey.
interesting.
Have you ever felt like certain situations or challenges keep popping up in your life?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Like you're living the same story on repeat,
Totally.
but with different characters.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The source uses the example of Carla the Channeler and how her life has been marked by this consistent pattern of giving to others.
Oh, interesting.
And that very strength, her deep capacity for love and service, has actually led her to her current challenge,
Which is,
learning to receive love.
oh, wow. So it's almost like our strengths can also be our weaknesses.
It's true.
The very things that make us unique can also create obstacles for us if we're not aware of them.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the heart of self-knowledge. It's not just about celebrating our strengths. It's about understanding those ingrained patterns,
Right.
the leitmotifs that might be holding us back or creating certain challenges in our lives.
Okay.
And perhaps even more importantly, it's about understanding why those patterns exist. What are they trying to teach us?
This is where it gets really interesting because the transcript goes even deeper.
Okay.
It suggests that to truly know yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you have to accept this kind of paradoxical nature of being human.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're all capable of incredible love and compassion,
Yes.
but also capable of actions that are well less than loving.
And that's a key point.
Yeah.
It's not about judging ourselves for those imperfect parts.
Right.
But simply observing them.
Okay.
Imagine you're watching a movie of your life.
Okay.
What are the recurring themes? What are the patterns that emerge? And how can understanding those patterns help us move forward with more self-awareness?
So we're not supposed to beat ourselves up about those times when we mess up or fall short of our own expectations.
Exactly.
It's more about acknowledging the full spectrum of who we are.
That's exactly right. It's about recognizing that the path to self-knowledge is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
We're constantly evolving,
Yeah.
facing new situations
Yeah.
that reveal different facets of ourselves.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing yourself is about recognizing those patterns,
Yeah.
both the light and the
Yeah.
shadow. But then how do we move from simply knowing ourselves
Right.
to actually accepting ourselves?
That's a great question, and it's something that the source material tackles head on.
Okay.
It makes a clear distinction between genuine self-acceptance
Uh-huh.
and the kind of superficial self-acceptance that relies on feel-good cliches.
Yeah, like telling yourself, I'm doing my best, might feel good in the moment,
Right.
but does it really lead to lasting change?
Probably not. True self-acceptance requires something much deeper.
Yeah.
It asks us to cultivate a sense of internalized forgiveness. It's not about seeking validation from external sources,
Right.
but about becoming our own compassionate inner judge.
So it's not about waiting for someone else to tell us it's okay.
Right.
It's about learning to offer that grace to ourselves.
Exactly. And to illustrate this point, the source uses a powerful analogy from the Bible, the story of the lost sheep.
I'm intrigued. How does that relate to self-acceptance?
Think about it this way. The lost sheep represent those parts of ourselves that we might be tempted to ignore or deny.
Okay.
Our flaws, our mistakes,
Yeah.
those aspects of our personality that we deem unacceptable.
Okay, so to accept ourselves fully, we need to actively seek out those lost sheep.
Yes,
Those parts of ourselves we've maybe rejected or pushed away.
exactly.
But how do we actually do that? I mean, some of the sheep might be pretty far gone.
That's where the shepherd,
Okay.
or in this case, our compassionate inner self, comes in.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those lost sheep with love and understanding
Yeah.
and gently guiding them back to the fold. It's not about forcing them to change, but about offering them a space of belonging.
So it's like an internal rescue mission.
Yeah.
We're going out and finding those parts of ourselves that we've disowned
Yes.
and bringing them back into the fold of our being with compassion.
Exactly.
That seems like incredibly challenging work,
It is.
but also incredibly rewarding.
And just like knowing yourself, accepting yourself is a continuous journey.
Right.
As we grow and face new situations,
Yeah.
there's always more to integrate and accept.
This makes me wonder, why is all of this so crucial? What's the point of all this self-exploration and self-acceptance? Does it really make a difference in the grand scheme of things?
That's where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
The transcript links these personal journeys to a much larger concept,
Okay.
what it calls becoming the creator.
Okay.
And we're not talking about building universes here,
Right.
but rather about recognizing the power of our choices, our thoughts, and our actions in shaping the world around us. It's about understanding that we are all, in a very real sense,
Yeah.
co-creators of reality.
So it's less about sitting on a mountaintop meditating
Right.
and more about engaging with the world
Yes.
in a conscious, intentional way.
Exactly. And the more we embody those qualities of love, compassion, and understanding, both for ourselves and for others,
Yeah.
the more we contribute to creating a world
Right.
that reflects those same qualities.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all connects. We're not just working on ourselves for our own benefit,
Right.
but because our individual journeys of self-discovery and self-acceptance
Yes.
have ripple effects that extend far beyond ourselves.
Precisely. And this brings us to a really interesting question that came up during the Q&A portion of the channeling session.
Oh, okay.
Someone was grappling with this feeling of, okay, I'm going through my day, doing the things, but it feels like I'm missing something deeper.
That feeling of going through the motions but not quite touching the core of who you are.
Exactly. And the channeled entity known as Quo responded with this beautiful analogy from the Bible,
Okay.
the story of Mary and Martha.
Oh, you familiar with that story?
Oh, absolutely. It's the one where Martha is busy preparing a meal for Jesus and his disciples, while Mary sits at his feet listening to his teachings.
Right.
And Jesus essentially tells Martha that Mary has chosen the better part.
Yeah.
But how does that relate to this idea of self-knowledge and self-acceptance? That's what we'll explore next.
Sounds like we have a lot more to unpack in this deep dive.
We do.
Stay with us.
So picking up where we left off, Quo uses the story of Mary and Martha
Okay.
to illustrate these two minds
Okay.
that are always at play within us.
Uh-huh.
We have the Martha mind,
Okay.
which is all about action, getting things done,
Yeah.
checking off that to-do list.
Right.
And then we have the Mary mind,
Okay.
which represents that deeper state of consciousness.
Okay.
The part of us that connects to something larger than ourselves.
So it's not about rejecting that practical get things done side of ourselves.
Not at all.
After all, we can't all just sit around contemplating the universe all day.
Right. We've got stuff to do.
We have bills to pay and dishes to wash.
Exactly.
Right.
The challenge isn't to become some sort of detached spiritual being.
Okay.
It's about finding a balance,
Yeah.
a way to be fully present in our everyday lives,
Right.
while also staying connected to that deeper sense of purpose and meaning.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we bridge that gap between the everyday and the sacred?
Well, the person who asked the question in the session wondered the same thing.
Oh,
If simply setting the intention to be more aware,
right.
to see the sacred in the mundane,
Yeah.
could actually make a difference.
Okay.
And Quo's response was surprisingly practical.
I'm all ears. Practical tips are always welcome.
It's all about creating reminders,
Okay.
not just mental notes,
Uh-huh.
but tangible things in your environment that will trigger that sense of remembrance.
Okay.
Like-
Like placing a meaningful object on your desk,
Uh-huh.
wearing a certain piece of jewelry,
Yeah.
or even writing a word like remember on your hand.
I love that. It's like setting up little breadcrumbs for yourself throughout the day,
Exactly.
guiding you back to that deeper awareness.
It's about creating those little nudges,
Yeah.
those gentle reminders to connect with that part of yourself that knows who you truly are.
Okay.
And the person asking the question also wondered if taking time for reflection at the end of the day, sort of like a mental balancing act,
Right.
could help with this process of remembering.
I'm guessing Quo said yes.
Absolutely. Quo emphasized that developing any kind of consistent practice,
Right.
any habit aimed at deepening your connection to yourself,
Yeah.
will over time become a potent trigger for remembering your true nature.
It's like training your awareness,
Exactly.
building those spiritual muscles.
And what's so inspiring about this entire exchange is how hopeful it is.
Yeah. It's suggesting that even when we feel lost or disconnected,
Right.
that deeper truth is always there waiting for us to remember it.
I'm really struck by that sense of hopefulness, too.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful reminder that this journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance is never truly over.
It really isn't. And it's not just about our individual journeys either.
Okay.
The transcript starts to hint at something much larger.
Oh.
This idea that our personal journeys of self-knowledge and self-acceptance
Yeah.
aren't just isolated events,
Okay.
but that they're somehow contributing to something much bigger.
Okay. Now you're really piquing my curiosity. Tell me more about this, something bigger.
Well, remember earlier when we talked about Carla's consistent pattern of giving to others
Yeah.
and how that led to her current challenge of learning to receive love?
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like there's a karmic element at play here.
Yeah, like a cosmic boomerang.
Kind of.
What we put out into the world comes back to us.
Well, it's more nuanced than that. The transcript doesn't frame it as a system of rewards and punishments. Okay.
But rather as a recognition that we're all interconnected.
Okay.
Our actions create ripples that extend beyond ourselves,
Right.
impacting the whole fabric of reality.
It ties back to that idea of becoming the creator.
It does.
So it's not about sitting on a mountaintop meditating,
Right.
but about engaging with the world in a conscious way.
Yes.
Understanding that our choices, even seemingly small ones,
Right.
have a ripple effect.
That's a great way to put it. And the more we embody those qualities of love,
Yeah.
compassion and understanding,
Yeah.
both for ourselves and for others,
Yeah.
the more we contribute to creating a world that reflects those same qualities.
This is making me think about how we often talk about self-care and self-love
Yeah.
as being somewhat selfish pursuits.
Right.
But what if they're actually incredibly generous acts?
That's a profound insight.
Yeah.
When we choose to know ourselves more deeply,
Mm.
to embrace all parts of ourselves with compassion,
Yeah.
we are not only healing ourselves,
We're contributing to the healing of the world around us. It's a
Wow.
radical act of love.
this is all starting to feel incredibly interconnected.
I
Our
know.
personal journeys, our interactions with others, the state of the world.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're all threads in this giant tapestry of consciousness.
Beautiful.
And the choices we make, the way we choose to show up in the world, affects the entire fabric.
And what's fascinating is how this idea connects to those paradoxical aspects of ourselves that we talked about earlier.
Right.
The fact that we're all capable of both loving and unloving actions.
So how does embracing our shadows fit into this bigger picture of co-creating a more loving world?
That's where we'll pick up next. We'll delve into how confronting those darker impulses within ourselves can actually be a powerful act of transformation, not only for ourselves, but for the world as a whole.
So we're talking about that shadow side,
Yeah.
those parts of ourselves that we might not be so proud of.
Right.
How does embracing those less than perfect aspects of ourselves actually contribute to creating a more loving world?
Well, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It does seem kind of counterintuitive.
But the transcript suggests that by confronting those darker impulses within ourselves,
Uh-huh.
by bringing them into the light of awareness and compassion,
Yeah.
we're actually doing something incredibly important.
So we're not just transcending those negative aspects of ourselves,
Right.
but we're somehow transforming them into something higher.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like we're taking the raw materials of human experience, the
Yeah.
good, the bad, and everything in between,
Yeah.
and through our choices, through our conscious efforts to know and accept ourselves fully,
Uh-huh.
we're transmuting them into something more beautiful,
Okay.
something more aligned with the energy of love and creation.
It reminds me of that alchemical idea of turning lead into gold.
Oh, yeah.
Except your lead is our own imperfections,
Right.
our struggles,
Yeah.
those shadow selves we try to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And the gold is that radiant essence of love and compassion that we're all capable of expressing.
And we're the alchemists.
Oh,
We're the ones doing the work, making those choices every single day
Yeah.
that determine what kind of world we're creating, both within ourselves and around us.
So if we were to distill all of this down to one key takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
I think it would be this. The journey of self-knowledge and self-acceptance isn't just a personal pursuit, it's a cosmic one.
Ooh,
And it's through our individual choices, our willingness to confront and embrace all aspects of ourselves,
right.
that we participate in the ongoing creation of a more loving and compassionate reality.
That's a pretty profound thought to leave everyone with. As you go about your day, remember, you're not just living your life, you're co-creating the universe. Choose wisely and choose with love. And until next time, keep diving deep.